It all started when Ryan was celebrating at a party with his family and friends. Suddenly, a group of criminals stormed in and opened fire on everyone present, including Ryan and his loved ones. The attackers were led by a man named Drake, who held a deep grudge against the police officers who had sent him to prison in the past. Driven by vengeance, Drake was determined to hunt down those officers and slaughter their families, and Ryan was one of his primary targets. Miraculously, despite being shot, Ryan survived the massacre. The story then jumps forward in time. Ryan has retired from his post as a police officer, and the scene shifts to a group of hunters deep in the woods. The lead hunter, a man named Dell, tracks his prey further into the forest, getting separated from his group. Out of nowhere, Ryan appears and cold-bloodedly executes Dell as payback for what was done to his family.
I want you to remember Marianne DeRosa before you...
After killing Dell, Ryan travels to a remote town named Hope. The town is completely controlled by a ruthless motorcycle, so terrifying that even the local sheriff and the residents live in constant fear, remaining silent and helpless. Driven by his mission for revenge, Ryan feels no fear and pushes forward into the heart of the town. He stops at a local gas station to ask the owner, Kirby, about places to stay. Kirby informs him that there is only one motel in town, located just down the road. Because outsiders rarely visit Hope, the motel, managed by a beautiful young woman named Darcy, is almost always empty. Darcy is puzzled as to why Ryan would willingly come to a town as notoriously dangerous as Hope, but Ryan simply replies that he is there on business. Meanwhile, an FBI special agent named Frank sits down with his team to discuss hunting down Del, who, along with his murderous rampages, is also a wanted rapist. Mid-discussion, another agent enters the room to inform them that Del has already been found dead. Back in Hope, Ryan is driving around town when he notices several motorcycles parked outside a building. Moments later, a biker steps outside and becomes irritated by a dog barking at him. Enraged, the biker draws his pistol, intending to silence the dog for good. Before he can pull the trigger, Ryan steps in, stops him, and beats him senseless to teach him a lesson. The commotion draws the attention of the gang members inside, who rush out to investigate. Among them is their leader, Drake. Having murdered so many people over the years, Drake fails to recognize Ryan's face. Even though Ryan just beat up one of his men, Drake decides to let him walk away for now, claiming he has more urgent matters to attend to. Still suspicious, Drake orders his younger brother, Rico, to keep a close eye on Ryan. The next day, a gang member named Herc meets with Drake to report that a local club owner is refusing to pay his protection fees. Furious, Drake challenges the heavily built owner to a one-round boxing match. If the man wins, Drake promises never to demand protection money from him again. Despite his advanced age, Drake remains deceptively strong and easily brutalizes the man. Rico, who possesses a somewhat more forgiving side, decides to spare the owner's life. After all, the gang still needs his money, and a dead man can't pay protection fees. Extortion isn't the gang's only source of income. They also manufacture and distribute methamphetamine, operating their own hidden lab. Rico is put in charge of running the lab, adding to his growing list of responsibilities, which includes tailing Ryan. That night, Rico heads to Darcy's motel to ask if a large, bald man named Ryan is staying there. When Darcy refuses to answer his polite inquiries, Rico drops the facade and threatens her, promising to send her straight to hell if she doesn't cooperate.
They all say yes.
Ryan happens to be at the motel and overhears Rico threatening Darcy. He intervenes the only way he knows how, with extreme violence. After watching Rico get battered and thrown around, Darcy warns Ryan that the man he just beat up is the younger brother of Drake, the brutal gang leader, and that Drake will retaliate viciously once he finds out. Ryan couldn't care less. Instead, he drags Rico to the front of the gang's meth lab, ties him inside a car, and sends the vehicle crashing into the facility. Causing a massive explosion that destroys the lab and kills Rico. It doesn't take long for Drake and his gang to notice the explosion. They rush to the scene, but there is nothing they can do except stare helplessly at the towering flames. Drake is consumed by intense rage upon realizing his beloved brother is dead. Shortly after, the local sheriff and his deputy arrive to inspect the scene. Drake approaches the sheriff and directly threatens him, warning that if the sheriff dares to interfere, he will wipe out his entire family. Terrified, the sheriff backs down, convincing himself that turning a blind eye to the gang's atrocities is the only way to prevent further bloodshed in town. The next day, Ryan strikes again, targeting a gang truck loaded with meth, heading out to deliver drugs to another city. He tails the convoy, shoots out the truck's tires, and forces the driver out. When the driver steps out, Ryan ambushes him, smashes his head against the car door, and blows up the truck along with its cargo. When news of the destroyed shipment reaches Drake, he flies into a fury over the massive financial loss. He demands that the lunatic responsible be brought to him alive, though he already suspects Ryan is behind it all. To confirm his suspicions, Drake orders his men to bring Kirby, the gas station owner, to their hideout. Drake forces Kirby to investigate Ryan and uncover his true identity, threatening to kill him if Ryan turns out to be the culprit. Fearing for his life, Kirby has no choice but to comply. Later that day, Kirby begins digging into Ryan's background by prying into his car, which is parked near the motel. As he peeks inside, Ryan walks out and catches him red-handed. Forced to abort his investigation, Kirby gives a nervous smile and invites Ryan over to his house nearby for a drink. Ryan, far from naive, immediately asks Kirby why he was searching his vehicle. Kirby breaks down and confesses that Drake forced him to dig up information on his background. Just as Kirby finishes explaining, the roar of a motorcycle echoes outside. It's Crab, one of Drake's enforcers, coming to challenge Ryan. Their brawl is brief, with Ryan swiftly overpowering Crab before letting him go. Meanwhile, Drake conducts his own investigation by confronting the sheriff. During their conversation, Drake learns that Ryan is a former police officer who retired after his family was brutally murdered. Satisfied with the information, Drake pays off the sheriff and leaves. That night, Drake and his men break into Kirby's home while he is asleep. Disappointed that Kirby failed at such a simple task, Drake orders Crab to execute him as punishment for his incompetence. Ryan discovers Kirby's body the following morning. Knowing instantly that Drake's gang is responsible, Ryan heads straight to one of Drake's nightclubs and brutally wipes out every gang member inside. After the slaughter, Ryan kidnaps Crab, kills him, and dumps his corpse right outside the gang's main headquarters. Enraged by the death of another top enforcer, Drake orders all remaining gang members to gear up with heavy weaponry for an all-out hunt for Ryan. Later that night at the motel, Darcy hears suspicious noises coming from outside. She grabs a shotgun from under the counter, ready to blast anyone who breaks in. Ryan, anticipating the attack, instructs Darcy to take cover behind the front desk. Moments later, the front door creeps open as Drake's gunmen flood into the room. Ryan patiently waits for them to get close, and the moment they are within range, he signals Darcy to kill the lights. Total darkness engulfs the room for a few terrifying seconds, punctured only by the deafening sound of gunfire. When Darcy turns the lights back on, every single gang member lies dead on the floor. Miraculously, Ryan hasn't suffered a scratch. Realizing the motel is no longer safe, Ryan ushers Darcy out. However, they walk straight into an ambush set by the remaining gang members waiting outside, who beat Ryan unconscious. When Ryan comes to, he and Darcy are being held captive at the gang's headquarters, a large cargo ship. Ryan is tied tightly to a chair. Drake taunts them, declaring that he plans to kill them both, but not before violating Darcy first. He orders one of his henchmen to torture Ryan while he steps into the back room. The henchman takes delight in brutally beating Ryan. Mid-beating, Ryan manages to break free from his restraints and turns the tables, knocking the brute unconscious. Ryan immediately moves through the ship to rescue Darcy. As he navigates the corridors, he runs into wave after wave of Drake's remaining men. But none of them are a match for Ryan's sheer force. After searching the vessel, Ryan finally locates Darcy, frees her, and guides her toward an exit. However, Drake steps out to block their path. Knowing the final showdown has arrived, Ryan tells Darcy to run ahead while he stays behind to finish Drake. Before they clash, Drake reveals that he finally recognizes Ryan as the former cop whose family he slaughtered before taking over Hope. Drake admits he had assumed Ryan died in the attack. With the truth out, the two men engage in a brutal fistfight. They trade heavy blows, but Ryan's overwhelming power eventually knocks Drake to the floor. Believing the fight is over, Ryan turns away, but Drake gets back up and draws a knife, attempting to stab Ryan from behind. Suddenly, Special Agent Frank and the FBI burst onto the ship. Frank fires his weapon, killing Drake instantly before he can strike Ryan. As it turns out, the FBI had tracked the gang to hope to dismantle their operation and liberate the town. Frank decides not to arrest Ryan, acknowledging that the world still needs men like him. The two exchange a mutual understanding, and Ryan leaves the town behind, promising they will cross paths again someday.